Thank you guys all for joining today. We're going to wait a few minutes and let people join. If you want to just put in the comments where you guys are from, where you're joining from today. I'm from California here in Sacramento. Welcome. We have some North Carolina, welcome. Florida, South Utah, Canada, Rhode Island, Ontario, New Jersey, Southern California. Welcome, 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 everybody. Thank you guys for joining today. Boston. We'll just wait a couple more minutes just to let a couple of people more join in. Thank you guys all for coming today. We got another one from Ontario, Toronto. There we go. Thank you guys again for joining. I will give it one more minute. And if you are just joining, if you want to put in the chats where you guys are from today. Florida, hello, welcome. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Michigan. All right, well, we are going to get started. My name's Jordan. I am here with SkySlope and SkyTC. We're going to talk to you guys a little bit today about SkyTC, what that entails, some of our details, how we can help you guys reclaim some of your time by helping with all the paperwork, getting to a little bit of the nitty-gritty of what that looks like for you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming in and listening. We see a Missouri, Fresno. Hello, everybody. All righty. So I am going to be turning it over to Kira to talk to you guys a little bit more about SkyTC. Welcome, Kira.
Thank you so much, Jordan. Awesome, guys. So yes, thank you so much for joining, spending a little bit more time to learn about SkyTC. Now we are going to record today's session so you can access the StreamYard recording over on YouTube. We also have a copy of a session that we did a little bit earlier on. We'll probably reference that a few times during today's session if you've not yet watched that. Not really necessary to go back, but we will provide that as a resource for you. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, my name is Kira. Jordan and I are over here on the client experience team, so we're really excited to bring this right on over to you. Now, again, thank you so much for spending some time with us here. And as we know, the spring market is upon us. And for most agents, that means, of course, more listings, more offers, and more transactions really moving at once. The weather is warming up, our clients are defrosting in a sense, and we're really starting to see that pickup in our business. But success during busy season isn't just about getting deals under contract. We know that the agents who grow the fastest are the ones who deliver a closing experience that clients trust, remember, and talk about. That's how we're getting those referrals. Because when we know the closing experience is smooth, three very important things happen. Clients feel confident throughout the process. You'll stay on track without last-minute stress. And as I mentioned, those referrals flow naturally. So today we're going to take some time, walk through how top agents are structuring their transaction so every deal feels organized, predictable, and 5-star from contract to close. All right, so where most transactions really start to fall apart is not at that offer stage. We're really getting excited, we're getting our process started, but they're really quietly breaking down during escrow. That's when agents are starting to chase missing documents, requesting signatures at the last minute, or of course, scrambling to track down deadlines. Now, put yourself in your client's perspective. This is going to show up quite a bit differently. From the client's perspective, they're experiencing these long silent periods where they don't really know what's going on. Then suddenly there are urgent requests or unexpected issues right before closing. I don't have my camera on today, but I know that my agents don't either, but I know that you are nodding your heads along with me here. Right when that sudden urgency really happens, that's when stress rises for everyone involved. So not just us as agents, but our clients as well. When agents are managing multiple deals at once, those small friction points, they're multiplying very quickly. And the difference between, of course, a smooth closing and a stressful one usually comes down to the process and communication. There we go. Now, top agents, they're not having easier transactions. That's really the first thing that we start to do. We start to think of ourselves as how are we different? How can we be the same? We really start that comparison game in our brains. So you can't really think of top agents as having easier transactions simply because that's not the case. What they do have are fewer surprises. They design their transaction process so that everything follows a predictable path. Clients know what happens next. Deadlines are tracked early, and documents are handled before they become urgent. We're also going to get very protective of our time. We're going to separate these roles. Our role as an agent is to focus on relationships, negotiations, and client guidance. Now, we can bring in an operational side of the transaction that's handled through systems and support. This is really what's setting them apart. Again, not easier transactions, but they're giving themselves the ability to deliver a calm, organized closing experience, even when that transaction volume begins to increase. So let's talk about what this really looks like. Let's talk about time, because this is where it really shows. Not that we don't have the capability to take part in all of these steps, not that we don't have the capability to manage our own, but where this is really going to show up is that time addition. Every transaction, as we know, includes document prep and corrections. It's just inevitable. Following up for missing signatures, we all have those clients that maybe aren't as detail-oriented as we might like. Our timeline tracking, again, as we add more, this becomes a much more crucial step. Compliance reviews to make sure everyone is staying safe. And then, of course, turning around and applying those status updates back on over to our clients. Individually, these tasks are not massive. Again, we're doing them already. But together, they're easily adding up to about 10 hours per transaction. So thinking back to that comparison game, the question really isn't, can you do this work? But it really should be, should you be doing this as you continue to scale? So the goal here, of course, work smarter, not harder. A lot of agents, they try to delegate at some point, and many walk away feeling like it did not work. Now, I like to say this loud and clear. It's not because delegation is a bad idea, but it's because of how it's introduced. Again, we're moving right on through that spring market. We are de-thawing. We are really picking up the pace. And that's when we see most of the time support gets added in too late. So if you had a chance to join our March session there, we really talked about how agents notice that impact. They notice that this is where that time starts to get stretched. It shows up when the transaction is already busy, behind, or stressful. Not every transaction is cookie cutter. Occasionally we have those wonky transactions where different things are occurring. We need to be able to pivot. And at that point, instead of creating relief, when you try to bring in the ability to start that delegation, it actually feels like more work because you have to bring someone up to speed or something. Another common issue is a lack of clear ownership. And that's where we like to get very into the weeds here. And when it's not obvious who owns timelines, follow-ups, or compliance checks, things still fall back on us as the agent, just with more people involved. So now we have a lot of cooks in the kitchen. Delegation also fails when it adds complexity. So if you maybe are not a fan of adding another software to your tech stack here, it means another system to log into, another inbox to monitor, or another workflow to manage. We as agents, we end up feeling like we have to babysit instead of getting that leverage. Instead, we need to make sure that we're constantly checking in, making sure that all of these tools are working. And when that happens, the stress is not going away. It just simply shifts, maybe to your shoulders, maybe to your back, maybe by the way you treat your loved ones. Agents still feel that responsibility, and clients still feel uncertainty. So really, that's where we see that value of delegation getting lost. Delegation, again, is only working when it's structured. Support getting added in too late really shows up on both sides. So delegation is going to work when it's proactive and built into the way that you're already working your systems. So let's talk a little bit how we can solve some of these pain points. When we talk about transaction support, right away, we're not talking about one task or one phase. SkyTC supports your transaction from the very first document all the way to the final signature. So you can really think of us as your transaction quarterback. We're calling the plays, coordinating every moving part, and making sure that nothing is slipping through the cracks. That's the goal, to make sure that all of this is accounted for while that deal is in motion. Before you're even live with a listing, documents are being prepped. The moment that contract is signed, the paperwork flow is moving, not waiting for you to find time between calls and showings to coordinate. And of course, because we work right alongside EXP, everything lives inside of SkySlope. You're already here, you're spending time in the SkySlope platform. So why not have the beauty of having documents upload in real time, milestones tracked where you're already working, and there's never a question of did that get done, since you still have full visibility. Now we'll also act as that central communication hub. Let's get you out of your phone just a tad. Again, our job as agents is to focus on those relationships. So if our face is tied to our phones, trying to keep track of everything here, it creates, again, a lot of that stress. With SkyTC, timelines are owned. Instructions go out and everyone involved knows what's happening and when. Communication is key, so you don't have to be the one chasing those updates. And again, we're a big fan of visibility. We want you to see exactly what's going on within your files. You're never in the dark. There's a structured update cadence, so you always know where every deal stands without needing to micromanage. And finally, quality assurance. Since we are fully trained up and working here within the SkySlope system, which is our world of compliance, this is really our bread and butter, making sure that we are catching those missing signatures, never overlooking documents, and always catching those compliance issues early. So before they're turning into those last minute stress or those deal killing problems, that is our goal, catching it early. So really what I want you to take away from this isn't just about saving you time, but it's also about protecting your reputation, delivering a smoother closing experience and giving you the freedom to be the human that you are, the agent that you want to be, focusing on the freedom, or really giving you the freedom there to focus on selling. So right out the gate, now that we've introduced the solution to these pain points, we tend to get a lot of questions. So let me just go ahead and answer a few of them right away. One of the biggest questions agents have, whether they're actually going to be able to use this with the way they run their own business. And that's why everything is going to start with an onboarding call. We understand every process is unique, and this is not a generic setup or a one-size-fits-all process. The onboarding call is a working session where we walk you through how to operate, where your workflow, your brokerage requirements, your communication preferences, and of course, where there's those transactions typically slow down. Where do you really feel the stressors? Where do you really feel those hangups as you're working through your transactions? We align on expectations up front. So when your first file comes in, there's no confusion, there's no retraining, no distribution to your process. Our transaction coordinators, as I mentioned, are trained to work directly inside of SkySlope and meet all of those brokerage standards. So support feels like a natural extension of your business rather than an outside layer, again, that you need to manage. The goal is simple. Once onboarding is complete, your transactions are running smoothly in the background while you stay focused on your clients and growth. So let's go ahead as we start to wrap up today's session. Now we will take some time at the end to answer questions. But let's go ahead and recap a lot of the information I've provided. Thank you again, guys, for sticking with me. I know this is a lot of information. But as we know, transaction volume increases in the spring and gets even heavier as we move into the summer market. So we want to make sure that our agents are here to stay organized and deliver consistent closing experiences that stand out. Clients remember how they feel during escrow. This is the biggest purchase of their life. This is a huge life-changing experience. So those feelings are going to stick with them. And when that experience is smooth and predictable, they're far more likely to refer you and work with you again. It brings us all the way back. Building the right systems now allows you to handle more transactions without more stress. The last thing we need is more cortisol in our bodies here. So we want to turn this busy season into a growth opportunity. Remove that friction, dive into the delegation process here, and allow yourself to build systems that scale. So as we wrap up here, I'm going to go ahead, bring up our QR code. If you're interested in simplifying your transaction workflow and delivering a much more consistent closing experience, you can go ahead, scan this QR code here. You'll be able to learn more about SkyTC and get started with onboarding. Now, pricing is going to be different depending on the areas and the regions that you work. So this is going to be the best way to understand those pricing structures. And before you go, please, I beg, you must use code EXP50 for 50% off your first file. So that is an awesome bonus that we're providing back right on over to our EXP agents. Again, sharing the love. Takes away a lot of that risk there for you. Again, EXP50 for 50% off of your first file. Thank you again, guys, for joining today. Good luck as we're diving into a strong summer market. I hope that you guys are really diving in, taking advantage of this nice spring market we are getting here this year. Here's to carrying less in 2026. Thank you again for spending part of your day with us. Happy sky sloping. We're going to go ahead, open it up for questions. Oh, before I do, Kim just went ahead and gave us a nice little kudos there. Kim's worked with SkyTC on listings and closings, and they were amazing. So right away, guys, lots of great testimonials here working with our TC team. Thank you, Kim. We appreciate the shout out. Great timing as well. And we'll go ahead, wrap up our session, open it up for questions, but I'm going to leave this QR code here for just a moment, give you the opportunity to scan this and get a little bit more information. Tina and Jordan also went ahead and dropped that link in the comment section. So if you're not able to scan it this time, you can go ahead, click on that link, access the same page. I recommend bookmarking. Jot down that EXP50 code there for your discount. Schedule your onboarding call and see how we can go ahead, take that weight off of your shoulders and allow you to move forward.
Thank you so much, Kira. I'm going to read a couple of the questions while we're waiting for some more. One of them was, do you keep the same TC? So yes, once you are paired with one of our TCs, that will be your TC for life if that's what you wish. We really strive on having those relationships and making sure, we know your preferences. So sticking with that same TC is a way to do so. So once you're with someone, they will be with you through thick and thin. Cost. So cost depends on state. It varies. So once you get in contact with our sales department and get ongoing with that onboarding fee, they'll kind of go over the cost with you. We do not charge if a file cancels. It's only after a closing. And another question was, do we work with title and lenders? And yes, we do. We pretty much are in contact with everybody throughout the transaction. We introduce ourselves to the buyers or sellers, the agent on the other side, the lender, the title escrow officer, or an attorney. And another one was, is there a checklist of what they cover? Yes, once you go onto that link or scan that QR code, they will be able to send you a checklist of what we do as transaction coordinators.
I'll also pop in, remind everybody we are recording today's session. So again, we'll go ahead and have that up within YouTube here so you can grab a copy. So we are recording via streamline or StreamYard. Awesome, guys. We'll keep it open for just another minute or so here. See if any other questions trickle in. If you do choose to hop off, once again, thank you so much for joining us. Happy sky sloping. Take full advantage of that code there for 50% off your first file. But let us know, guys, if there's questions in that comment section. Definitely bookmark that link that we provided as well. So you can come back, take full advantage of SkyTC. Oh, I see a question from David here. Is it possible to get an example of a cost for Texas? That would definitely be a good opportunity. Click on that link. We'll provide you without the pricing. Again, just depends on your region and the different types of properties that you work. All right, guys. Well, it looks like team just went ahead, dropped that YouTube link for our previous. Oh, that's going to be to include a full replay of this and EXP solutions. So if there's no other questions, we can go ahead and wrap up today's session. Thank you again for joining, and we'll see you soon.